Hello, hello. So I am going to be doing a video where we talk about the process of coming up with what's important for you to have inside of your planner, whether it's a bullet journal or an already made planner. If you're interested in seeing that, then stay tuned. Hello. So I thought I would do a video where I process out how I make the decision on what goes in my planner. I am currently using a Stology for basically like I wouldn't say day per page, but more like a daily. And then, as you guys know, I use my Hobonichi weeks for my on the go planning and my regular scheduling. So, I am a list maker, and that is something that for me really just is my jam. So, I wanted to kind of walk through and show you guys the process of where I've been with my planning, how I've gotten there, and what I've decided works well for me, and how you guys can figure out what works well for you and go from there. So, getting started, I know that I've sort of done a flip through of my Stology before, but I just figured, I wanted to kind of show you how things really started out for me. So, I got this book mostly because it's a B6, and B6 is my absolute favorite size of all sizes. It has always been my favorite right from the beginning when I started in a traveler's notebook, and it's still to this day my favorite size. I've tried many sizes, A6, I've tried pretty much all the rings. The only size I haven't tried I haven't tried are I haven't done a standard, I haven't done a B6 slim, mostly because I know that I had to cut this book down a little bit to fit in this cover, and just cutting the teensiest bit off of it, I was like, yuck, I don't like that. So I definitely love the full B6 size, for planning. And so that's really, what I tend towards. So when I very first started in Nostology, this was actually last November, and so coming up on almost a full year of being in this book. And you can see I was really at the time just using it for different list making type things that I had to get done, lists for things I'm trying to think, what is this even? Just lists, Christmas things that I needed to purchase for the kids, things I needed to do for the boys' school, inserts that I wanted to print out, just randomness. And then same thing here. This is basically just list making. This was my plan on Thanksgiving, the things that I was cooking, how big the turkey was, how long it took to cook, so on and so forth. So just this way I had this stuff to be able to come back and reflect on. I did put some other things in here. I was using it kind of for note taking. Then I started using it, you can see I'm doing to-dos. Then I started using it again for just kind of putting in some memories for some different planners that I purchased. I do still have this one. This one I have sold. This one I just love. It's one of my favorites. So Christmas cards, who I was sending them to, more to-dos. So, you'll kind of see, and I'm going to skip through a little bit because there's some pages here that are notes for work. So basically what I figured out was a few things. One, I was having a hard time when I really wanted to be able to find certain things, and I did not index. I sort of just jumped right in the beginning. So having an index would have helped, but I didn't do that. So I was kind of bouncing around an awful lot, and then it was like, okay, is this a brain dump book, or is this a journal, or what is this? Like, what do I want this to be? And as I've said before, list making for me is huge. I absolutely am very list oriented, write it down. I have to write it. I can't do list making on Trello, which is an app. And it's a really good app for list making. But for me, it was on my phone and it just wasn't working for me. With my brain and with my Graves' disease, I need to write it. I need to see it, write it, and then go back and look at it again, and that's how it sticks in my head. If I just put it on, if I'm not physically writing it, I'm just typing it, I don't know, it just doesn't connect with my brain. So I really have to be analog writing it for it to connect with my brain. So with that being said, and you can see, all sorts of things, this is me planning out other, this is actually my plan for this. This is my burnt pink, which is this one. And so this is me planning that out, and then some more lists. So basically what I started figuring out round about March, I guess. So I played with this from November to March, and I wasn't using it a ton. And I was like, I feel like I could use this more. And so then I slowly started using it more. So I tipped in the month, and then again, just some things that I needed to do. And so note taking when I was watching YouTube videos, sometimes I would just do pen testing. And then you start, here you start seeing me slowly start formulating some more daily pages, and you can see okay, so now I'm actually getting to the point where I'm writing them down. So I went from, okay, I have to get this done, to I need to get this done this day. So you can just kind of slowly see it morphing as we go. And then May comes, and okay, so then I go to a weekly, and a weekly I'm like, okay, this kind of works, but then my weekly spills over because I have so much. And then I'm adding some lists in here, which these ones I had to have lots of extra tabs so that I could find them in the middle of this book. Not really in the middle, but in the book. Then I started adding work things that needed to be done. So really, I was adding and adding and adding, and then my brain was like, okay, stop. This is where we have to stop. I need to be able to start planning this out by the day, okay? And so this is where it sort of started happening, was in the month of June for me. I said, okay, let's figure out the things that we really need, whether it's in a daily planner or an on-the-go, put your appointments in it planner. What do I need the most, okay? So this is where we process this out together. So for me, what I came to was, I really needed to be able to see the month quickly in view so that I had an idea of what days were where in each month. I needed my important dates for that month, and I needed my important dates for the next month. And so you will see here that I did this. Then kind of coming up with some goals of big things that really needed to be done for that month and put them here. So as I go, you'll see that then I said, okay, now I need to break out these big long lists, so like these weekly lists, I need to break these out into dailies because sometimes there's appointments that happen in the daily and they'll just get lost in this weekly to do. So for me, I really needed to also have this appointment, or have this way that I could physically put appointments in here too if I wanted to. And let me just kind of zoom you guys in a little bit. So this is where I really started playing with actual dailies. Okay, so now my suggestion to you is if you are starting into bullet journaling, you've read Ryder Carroll's book, you figured out, well, some of the things are for me and some of them aren't for me. I would really like to come up with how do I set up my stology to start. So here is what I suggest for you to do. So I do have notes section here. And so what I did was I just kind of broke down a small section in my book towards the back for notes. And what my suggestion to you is start processing out everything that you need, okay? So we're gonna just do this with me. Like, this is brand new and we've never done it before. So we'll just call it what I need in a planner, okay? So these aren't like, little things. These aren't like, oh, I want pretty ephemera, I want this, I want that. You can add all that stuff later. This here is the absolutes, okay? So we're talking about what do you absolutely need to function in your planner to get through your day-to-day, okay? So for me, I need, and I'm just gonna bullet point these, I need a monthly, I'm just gonna say a monthly page, just to make it easy, okay? So I need a monthly page. I need a monthly appointment log. I need a future log. For me, I really need a habit tracker. So, and this is not necessarily for you. This is just the things that I absolutely need in my book. And I need dailies. I definitely need a notes section. It wouldn't hurt for my next book to do an index, which I will be doing for my 2020 setup when I do that. Let's see, what else? For me, I also have a few other things that I do for, say, the back. So I put this in here, it's a reading log. And you can see that this is actually from SM Plans. And what I did was, I want to say this was her personal wide size. It might be B6, I can't remember. It's one or the other, and either one of them will work in the stology. The personal wide might just be a little bit smaller, and you might just have to upscale it by like 5%. So this isn't a need, and this is clear. This was more of a want for me, and I'm keeping it in here, and I'm going to actually keep it in my future stologies as well. But you can see I haven't really used it, so this clearly isn't a need. But my next tab says car maintenance. This, for me, is a need because I need to be able to track the things that I have done with my car, just so that when my husband comes along and says, okay, when did we put new tires on it? I can say, oh, that was, and actually I didn't write 19, which I need to. These were all 19. And, you know, this way I can kind of come along and say, this is what we did to my car on these times. You can track the cost. I didn't always track the cost, as you can see, but it just kind of gives me a rough idea of, you know, maintenancing on my car and what's been done. So this is a need for me. So I am going to put car maintenance log here. Because it is a need, and it's something that I really need to have in my planner. It doesn't need to be huge. 2 pages is sufficient, and so that will just always go in the back of my logs. So then I have shops and purchases. The purchases tab are things that I have bought, and this isn't like a super need, but if I am doing a no spend or something like that, this is always good to have for some accountability. And then the shops are for like discount codes and stuff like that, and I do have quite a few of them written down on that page before I found this and started writing them. And I believe that is it. This is a future log that I have for 2020, which I have that already as a need there. So, so here you have the majority of the things that I need in my planner. So this is what I recommend that you guys do. Just take a random page. You don't even have to do it in your book. Just do it on a piece of paper, the things that you need. And, you know, sometimes too, as a helpful hint, like if you would like to have this, if you're a person that has a hard time committing, okay, so let's just say you have a hard time committing to writing in your book, but you would like to have this in your book, but you're one of those people that you're like, I can't write it right now because I don't want to put it in the wrong spot and then decide to do this or this. You can just take a sticky note, write it on your sticky note, and then these ones are regular notes. They're not sticky notes, but you know, you can use, we all have lots of different sticky notes. Oh, my child wrote me a little love note. I'm gonna keep that. So you could literally just write it on sticky notes, and then you can just move it around your book. So, you know, I have these, and these were pages that I needed to keep, and so I kept that there. So, you know, just bear that in mind. If you're somebody you're having a hard time committing, and you, like I did it here, and then later I wrote that these were the samples that I wanted, and I went ahead and put them on cute little sticky notes and then just stuck them there. So you can do stuff like that too if you don't want to commit to writing it in your book. Okay, off on a tangent, but I just thought I'd give that tip as well. So do this, you know, and then as your months go, so let's go back to June because that's really when I started my dailies. So as your months go, if you start finding, you know what, I don't need this or I don't need that, then you can just go back to where you wrote it. I'm gonna take these out. You just go back to where you wrote it here in your notes, and just cross it off because you're like, I really don't need this, and I'm gonna say, no, I'm not gonna do that for the next month, okay? So this is how I started out. Then I started with my dailies. So here are my dailies. And I did this for a little bit, and what I was doing was dailies and a weekly, and then I was like, you know what? That's redundant. I don't need to do that. What I was doing was writing everything out that I knew I needed to get done, and then I was allocating it onto my actual daily sheets. But then I just was like, I don't need to do that. I can literally just skip this step and just put it, you know, write out my weeks and just start allocating it. And so that's what I did. I as I went, you'll see, eventually you will see my weekly drop off. Now this is where, so I did it horizontally here, and then I decided to try vertically, and I realized very quickly, surprisingly actually, that the vertical worked better for me than the horizontal. So this is just how you can process things out in your brain, you know. So I was using one side for home stuff and one side for work stuff, and then I just started breaking it down vertically. I would do two days per page, and I would just do, okay, so here, half my stuff. I have work, I have home. And so then it started working out. So you can see that I'm slowly kind of getting my groove as we go. I do like doing monthly recaps. So I'm gonna put that down too, because for me, that's a need. I knew there was a couple things that I'm forgetting. Monthly recap, okay? So then I'm just going right back, starting over. I'm putting my monthly, I'm doing these dates. Now, this is what I found with this. Okay, here's an example. I had forgotten, or no, I had written these dates down for the next month. And then right here, our friends invited us over for supper, and I had to squeeze it because it was the 3rd, which was before the 5th. And so this was annoying to me. Okay. So you will see how I change that coming up. So, and then this is also one book July. And so I was doing everything in one book. So then I started doing what I would normally have in my Hobonichi weeks. I started doing it on here, which was totally fine. But because I use this more for the daily and I wanted to continue using my weeks, I didn't stick with this. I did it for like 2 months to see if I liked it and then moved on. So then this is the month that I put my trackers in and loved it and said, okay, gonna stick to this every month because that works for me. And then you'll just start seeing my dailies, okay? And so there we go. And then sometimes I'll just do a filler page because I'm a little OCD and I don't like starting my new week on this side. I don't know why. I prefer to start my week on this side. So here you see I started doing a weekly overview since I'm not using my weeks during the month of July. And so I start adding my weekly overview so that I can capture appointments that I have, because I was having a hard time getting my brain to look at appointments, okay? So I start doing my weekly here. And again, like I said, I didn't stick to this because I started going back to my weeks for that. So there we go. And this was probably a busy week here. Oops. And so literally I just did the weekly and one to-do list, like crazy. So then, all right. So, and then this is a forward planning page. And so you'll see very similar. Actually, I think I skipped a page. Yeah, I skipped this one. So I did do it for a second month. And then that's the last month that I did it because I didn't find that I needed this one anymore. And so you'll see me just go right back. And so then I figured out how to capture my appointments. And so this worked for me. So I started putting these little stickers in here to capture appointments so it didn't get lost in the to-do list. And so then this eliminated the super need of having the weekly in here. So there you go. So you start seeing every time I have appointments that I put it in there, and then wow, I didn't get much done that week at all. September. And so then I started doing my monthly like this. So I literally numbered out every day of the month and I just started filling in my appointments. This way, if something came up on the 16th, I could write it and it wouldn't be stuck between the 27th and the 9th. So this worked out really well. And then basically what I decided to do was just allocate a small spot for the next month and I could just write appointments or whatnot if I had any. So then here we go, right back to my weeklies, and so then this is my monthly, and boo-hoo, yesterday was our closing date, and so now it's this day instead. So basically this is where I've landed, and this is my happy place. So hopefully that works for you guys. You know, like I said, process it out on the paper, write down everything that you absolutely need in your planner and just start going with it. Do it month by month when you first get started until you really find your groove and figure out what's working for you. And then once you've done that, then you can go ahead and be like, this is what works for me, and you can plan ahead. So like here I have October, I have November, and I've started with December. Didn't put anything else in here because I have no Christmas stickers and I have no Christmas washi tape, and I'm devastated because everything's packed. So I stopped planning because I was very upset that I didn't have any Christmassy colors to move on from my month of December. So boo-hoo. But anyway, but you know, then you can plan ahead and you can have, you know, what you need. So for me, I'm pretty much using like 4 to 6 pages. I mean, about 6 pages a month for everything that I need. So this is probably gonna bring me into February, maybe, with my dailies. And so that'll be a little bit over a year. And some people, that would drive them nuts, you know, that they have to have like 1 year in one book, and that's totally fine too. I don't need to because I'm mostly just using this for dailies. So I'm just going to use the book until it's completely used up to my notes section. So basically to here, let's see, where am I at? So I have like this much left, and then I'll be done with this one, and I already have another one in the wings waiting. I have talked about it before. This stology was cut down by like 5 millimeters because it doesn't fit in this cover very well that I had custom made. I'm debating doing another one in the full size that I need, but I can't even think about that right now. And I have till like February before I need to really think about it too much. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I do like that it's a little bit slimmer, so I may just keep it and cut down my stology the 5 millimeters again. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge once we get there, but hopefully this will help you guys process out your future books, whether they be a stology or a Naname Cafe or, you know, a Taroko Breeze or any of those books that you're using for bullet journaling. Hopefully this will help you process that out, clear your mind, and just kind of get what's important for you in here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Like and subscribe, and don't forget, follow me over on Instagram as well for both Instagram stories and pictures. I'm back and forth on how much I'm using social media right now just because I'm in such a holding pattern for the big move, but I'm doing my best to still try and stay out there. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.